Are you capable of being a human being or not? Can you do all the things that a human being should be able to do to demonstrate, hey, I'm fit and healthy? Yes or no? And we want to make these questions as black and white as possible. Can you achieve a gold standard, such as being able to sit down, ass to grass in the bottom of a squat for about 5 minutes? Yes or no? Plus, can you do it without standing up at the end of those 5 minutes feeling like you've absolutely wrecked your knees or your hips, you're so stiff and tight, but rather can you come out of this and basically go straight into a run, for example? Yes or no? So when I go through a full range of motion squat, basically what I'm looking at is, do I have healthy enough feet and ankles? Are they strong enough? Are they mobile enough? Are my knees and my hips, do they have enough range of motion, enough strength, enough sustainability in order to let me perform this movement? All of this means, in a very shortened form, can I be a human being? Yes or no? So there's a couple of things with the squat. Number one, mechanics are one of the most important things. So I will be coming up out of this to kind of show the order in which we want to do a squat. And this is whether you are doing just a bodyweight squat, whether you're just doing it to chill out at the bottom, or if you're going for a maxed out back squat or front squat or overhead squat. The same principles apply. The only real difference is like the magnitude at which you do some of the things. So something that we want to look at as much as possible is having your feet as straight, as parallel as possible. Some of you may be more comfortable with your toes out a little bit. That's fine, as long as you can achieve the next part, which is that as I'm going down into my squat, as my butt's going down, I want to simultaneously be driving my knees out. This creates that torque, that rotational energy that creates stability in the ankle. Because what we know happens that, I'm squatting down on a lever, as physics is applied to that, as gravity, as weight, as force is applied to the top of that lever through my hip. One of two things is going to happen, or both things, is that either the levers are going to bend or they're going to rotate. When this leg undergoes rotation, you'll notice that a lot of people, when they're quite weak or inexperienced at squatting, what kind of rotation do we typically see, especially on the way up, which is that the knees drive in. This demonstrates rotation, that internal torque at the bottom of the squat, or as they're coming up out of the bottom of a squat, where what we want to see is that external rotation coming out through this. So when we have mobility work going on, what I'm trying to achieve is trying to fix my position. So if you cannot get your knees out substantially, which most people have too tight of ankles and too tight of hips to allow for that rotation, they don't just move, in one direction going up, they also rotate. And if I can create that rotation as I'm squatting, I can create a lot more power. I can also create a lot more comfort, because try squatting with your knees going inwards and try going inside. Like, I can't get lower than this, and this is also pretty ugly. And I feel a lot of weird pressure on my knees. But you get it out, you can go down because you create that, space, but also you create a lot more power. You create a lot more utility in your ass to actually generate power, because you actually have whole dedicated muscles in your butt under your gluteus tissues whose dedicated purpose is to create this rotation. You don't really have any dedicated internal rotators. You have muscles who are capable of doing that, because obviously I can create that movement. But you have a lot more tissues that allow you, and powerful tissues that allow for this to happen. So that as I'm squatting, I want to be thinking about knees going out the whole time. And as I'm coming up, I want to be thinking about shoving the knees out. And that actually allows you to create a lot more force for taking your butt in. So third part, so we've gone over, I want my feet as parallel as possible, because that gives me the most amount of torque. The more I start with my feet out, the more those external rotators, those muscles in your butt I talked about, the more they start already in a contracted position. And the more contracted the tissues are at the start, the less capable they are at creating further contraction. So I start off with my feet as straight as possible. I go down, I always initiate with my butt going back. Even if I need to stay super upright, it still starts off going back and then down. If I'm doing a back squat, I can get away with being a lot more forward. That's fine. If I'm doing a front squat or an overhead squat, I have to maintain a lot more uprightness. Okay? So something that we want to look at doing is just keeping the feet as parallel as possible, keep the knees shoving out, and then use your butt to initiate the movement. If I take my butt straight down, what that looks like, guys, is that my knees are traveling forward first. And your body obeys this principle of physics, which is what we call load ordering or load sequencing, which is that whatever moves first in a movement is what takes the brunt of the load. So if I'm squatting and I want to really fry my kneecaps out, I move them first. Now, what muscle is here? That's your kneecap. It ain't a muscle. It's not really meant to generate that kind of work. What muscles are here? The most powerful and largest in your entire body. They're made to do that work. So move your butt first, let your knees travel out. Now, if you cannot achieve this shape, achieve this position, and if you cannot do it comfortably, then that's where the mobility work comes in. So I would use this to test my position. Can I do this? 5 minutes, yes or no? Make that black and white. Not, yeah, I can kind of do it. No, it's, yes, can you do it? Can you do it confidently? Can you do it with power and with sustainability? Or do you feel like doing this is wrecking your body? Then I come out of it, I do the mobility work. We check the videos that we have on our other playlists. We do the mobility drills. Then we come back into the squat and we measure what's changed. Okay, so what mobility drills are working for me, what's doing really well. All right, that makes sense? Let me know. Give this a go. Actually see if you can do a squat for 5 whole minutes, just straight. Watch something on YouTube, Netflix, whatever, and go through that. See how it is. Don't just think about, what it might be like or think, oh, I can't do that. Actually do it and prove it to yourself. Prove what you can do, and then let's start doing some work to make that better. If you suffer with chronic pain, chronic injuries, athletic injuries, I have got you covered. My name is Ethan Hammond, and I am a strength and rehab specialist. I work with people who want to return to sport and fitness, but feel that they can't because of pain and injuries. I've helped people with conditions such as lower back pain, ACL tears, shin splints, neck pain and chronic headaches, and so many more things. Now, a lot of you will be going through things like this, like what I just listed above, and you're saying that you cannot train anymore. Bullshit. You have got to train, and you've got to train right. Train or complain, that is the way this works. Now, I work in person in Southampton, England, but I have online services as well if you're a bit further out. And I also offer free consultations to get you started with a free game plan and strategy for getting out of pain. All you have to do is to send me a text or a WhatsApp message to 07 305 231 339, and I will personally get back to you in the next 24 hours to get you started on the road to proper recovery. If you are serious about leveling up and making real change, this is how you start.